Hey friends, today in this episode, I'm gonna talk about how to take a photo using the browser and JavaScript and then apply a green screen chroma key. So here, I'm just like showing what this looks like in ScreenFlow, which is the video editing software that I use for these videos. And there is a tool in the video filters tab where you can click plus and then add a chroma key video filter. And that just like removes the background so you can see what's behind it. And there are a couple of controls here. There's the white clip, which changes whether or not you display or like what the transparency of the pixel looks like. There's also this like tolerance tool that allows you to modify and tweak, and then some angle feature. And then you can also just like sort of like refine the key so that it is like the perfect color green. And so this is really, really helpful for video. And one of the things that we've been doing with the Video Description Manager series is working on tools for building thumbnails. So if you recall, we are working on a Rails app here that helps us automate parts of the video production process, specifically for putting up content on YouTube. And so one of those things that I want to do is to make some improvements to our tool that allows us to create and generate thumbnails. So here we have like a list of videos, and if we go to a specific video and then like /thumb, then we can generate a thumbnail and upload that thumbnail directly to YouTube. This is being generated based on some metadata about the video. So the title is being pulled, the category is being pulled, and then this image here that's on the right was just a single green screen image that I took and then applied the background to make it the same sort of color as this. And what I want to do today is make it so that it's really easy to just take a green screen photo of what you sort of like look like on the day you're recording and then use that as part of your thumbnail. And so yeah, let's just talk about how we might implement that. So I'm going to say Rails G thumbnail, let's see, controller, thumbnail headshots controller, and we're going to use the new action. Now, most of the content today is going to be JavaScript. We're not actually going to do much with Rails, but we are doing this in the context of a Rails app. So if we go to the thumbnail headshots new view here, and then we're just going to like work in here. So let's say take a new headshot. All right, so what I think we need is some video input. So we're going to collect the video stream from the browser. So we're going to ask for permission, collect the video stream from the browser, and then put that into a video control. And then we'll use the HTML canvas. So we'll like take, let's add a button. And the button will have like an ID of like capture or something, capture. And we'll say capture. And then we need a video input control. So let's actually wrap this in a div just because that'll be on a new line. And then we'll need a video input, and its ID will just be like a preview or something. And we'll give it a height of 1080 and a width of 1920. And let's see. So what does this actually look like here? So let's write some JavaScript. Let's see. So we're gonna have a script tag, and we want to grab reference to both of these things so that we have our capture button, and we have our video preview, video preview. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is like grab the video stream from the user, and I think we want to do this when the page is like fully loaded. So let's say document dot add event listener for DOM content loaded. And we'll use this so that we can write, like use async await in here, but also like so that everything is loaded in the DOM when we're ready to go. Okay, so we want to get the stream out of that media input that's coming in. So we're going to say const stream is equal to await navigator dot media devices dot get user media. And this is a function that takes in an object which just has like audio true and video true. Actually, we don't even need the audio because we're just doing camera input this time. And then the next thing we want to do is set that stream as like the source object for our preview video. So preview video dot source object equals stream. I think that's how it works. All right, let's see if this is actually firing up. So if we go to like /thumb thumbnail headshots / new. We have a capture button, but we don't actually have a video here. So what's happening here? Let's open the console and see if we have any errors. What's going on? So I see the little red dots suggesting that our camera input is working. Let's just give it a style of border px solid black, just so we can see if it's actually on the page. Okay, so it's totally there. And then the next thing, you know what I think I missed is autoplay. And let's refresh. Okay, cool. So there it is. It's autoplaying, and this is the input. I do have a green screen. Over here on the left, I've got like a chest of drawers, and there's like some pictures up there. This is going to be helpful. I actually want this in this shot so we can see the difference as we're sort of like removing the green screen, and show that that like actually won't be removed by default. And that's right. That's correct. So the camera input is 1920 by 1080, and I want to keep that sort of aspect ratio. And so it's going to be kind of big and messy. So I want to make this capture button just a little bigger, just so we can, this is sort of totally hacking it so that we can see the button easier. I'm just going to put this font size up to like 5 EM or something, just to get it to be a huge picture so that we can make the page smaller and see everything on the page. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is when we click the capture button, we should create a canvas here, and the canvas element should be populated with whatever like the shot was, the screenshot was. So let's do that next. So let's add a click to our capture button, a click handler to our capture button there that we have. And then what we want to do is we want to, let's actually we can create a canvas up here also. So we'll say canvas, and we'll give this an ID of like a photo or something, and it'll have the same height and width, and we don't need any style. I don't remember if the video element works as a single line tag. My editor seems to think that's how it should work. All right, so let's grab reference to the photo, canvas, photo, and then we'll also, yeah, let's just create the context here too. So const photo ctx is photo canvas dot get context 2D. All right, so now we have reference to the context for that canvas. And what we should be able to do is when the button is clicked, we should be able to say something like photo ctx dot draw image with the preview video as input, and we'll draw it at 0, 0. And then we also need to pass in the width and the height, which we can pull off of that preview video. So we can just say like const the client width is W and the client height is H, and we'll pull that off of preview video. So this is using object destructuring with an alias. So I'm aliasing the client with, this is sort of the same as saying like const W equals preview video dot client width, which is, I don't know, it's just like shorthand. But let's see if this works. So when we click capture, nothing happens. Okay, and we do have an error. So capture button is not defined. Capture, did I spell it wrong? Capture BTN. Capture BTN. All right, capture BTN. In programming, almost always the issue is spelling. Okay, sweet, look at that. Okay, so if we click capture, it takes the picture. That's like exactly what we want, right? And now we need to play around with this photo to see if we can get it to remove the green screen so that we can just have like an image that has no green screen in the background. So how does that actually work? Well, if we were to zoom in like insanely far here, right? Each of these little dots that make up this picture are a combination of four data points. It is a red, green, and blue value, and then also an alpha. So if we're looking at like a color in CSS, right, over here, if we were to find, if we go to the Elements tab and we go to Computed and we find some color here, right, we see RGB. That's one way to define a color. You can also define it as like RGBA. So if we grab, yeah, let's grab one of these and just say style h1, and we'll say color is RGBA, and then call it a function where we can pass in like 1, 2, 3, and then 255 or something, right? That will create a very dark color because 0, 0, 0, 0 is black. And if we change this to all 255s, that will make it white. 255, that makes it a white color, right? And so this is like your RGBA colors. If we were to drag this into the green spectrum and then start playing around up here, what you'll see is that like the green value is very high, the R value is low, and the B value is low. So when we're looking at a very green color, the combination of red and blue is likely less than the green. So in this case, 28 plus 52 is, I don't know, roughly 80, and that is less than 204. So even if we go into like some of these colors that are like pretty dark green, right, we still get pretty close to having, you know, the red value plus the blue value being less than the total green value. And then over here we have alpha. So alpha is what allows us to like control the transparency, and it goes from 0 to 1. Usually this is controlled as a number between 0 and 255. That's like how they get from 0 to 1. But whatever. So let's see if we can analyze this image data as like a more raw data format. So this photo context object has a method for getting the image data out of it. So we can say image data is equal to photo ctx dot get image data, I believe it's called. And let's just console.log image data. Let's see if this actually works. Okay. Failed to execute. Oh, 4 arguments required, only 0 present. Okay, so I think we actually do need to pass in the corner, like the top left corner and the bottom right corner when we're getting the image data. So let's see if this works. So now if we click capture, okay, cool. So now we have an image data object down here. And the image data object has 3 properties. It has height, width, and data. Data is a giant array, a uint8 clamped array. So it is an array where, yeah, it has unsigned 8-bit integers. So down here you'll see that we have these are like the first 4 elements in the array, and that represents probably this top left corner, maybe the bottom right corner. I can't remember which corner this is, but you'll see that like this is the RGB value, and then this is the alpha. So alpha meaning like don't make it transparent at all, show like the entire possible value. So if this was 0, then it would be like a transparent pixel, but instead we have like a low red value, a high green value, and a low blue value. So this means that this pixel that is represented by the first 4 elements in this array is very likely going to be a green pixel. And so what we want to do is iterate over all of this image data and convert the final value here of these 4, of like this foursome, it's like a tuple, but there's 4 in it, I don't know, into 0 to like remove the background. So let's see if we can do that. So we want to iterate over all of the data. Remember that this image data object has a data property. It's not like itself data. So we want to say something like for I, we'll start at 0. While I is less than image data.length divided by, well, yeah, image data.length. We'll just go through and let I increase all the way to the end of the image data's data length. And the way that we'll step through it is because each chunk is 4 long, we'll just say like I plus equals 4. And so we will iterate, this is going to allow us to iterate through each of those chunks. And so if we say that like const g, so the green value is image data.data at I plus 1. I think that's right? RGB, yep. So when I is 0, then I plus 1 is going to be 1, and that should be this value. So that's the green value. So then if the green value is greater than, I don't know, 100, then let's say image data.data at I plus 3 is equal to 0. So that should just like remove or clear out, or it should set the alpha to 0, which will make that pixel transparent rather than being like a color. So if we refresh the page here and click capture, Nothing happened. Okay. Oh, right, because after we've made that change, we need to like update the canvas. So let's say photos ctx.put image data, and we're going to put in the new image data here. And let's just try this. I don't know if it's going to let me. Okay, yeah, let's see. 3 arguments required, but only 1 present. So I think maybe we just have to tell it where the top corner is. Oh, look at that. Okay, sweet. So we've totally removed all of the green values, including anything that had red or pink or white or anything else. Like you can even see like sort of parts of the green that were in the yellow on the shirt are also removed here, right? And like, in fact, we still have some green that was left in. So one way that we can approach this is we could say like, let's try to fine tune it so that G, maybe like G is great, only do it if G is greater than 200. And we can refresh the page and click capture. And it gets like, it changes which pixels are being removed. But you'll notice that in this case, right, we removed less incorrect pixels, but we still have like some that's definitely like whiting out the face. And so if you recall, right, when we were looking at maybe saying like the color is green, or let's see, RGB 025500 RGBA, right? And then if we click on this thing, and then let's make this 1, right? Like most of these colors are where it's green is a combination of red and blue is less than or equal to the green value. So what we can do is say, if green is greater than red and blue, then set it to, or then clear it out. So let's do that. So, so the red value is actually just going to be at I, green is at I plus 1, and then blue is going to be at I plus 2, RGB, okay? So then if we refresh the page here and say capture, that is pretty close, right? That's pretty close. Like you still can see, you can still see a little bit of green around the face, right? So we can play around with this tolerance just a bit. So let's add an input box next to our capture button. Or let's say input text, or yeah, type is a number, and we'll just call this tolerance or something. And then, yeah, we'll give it a font size is like 5em. So, oh gosh, it's so hacky. Okay, so let's say our tolerance number is by default value is 10 or something, and then we'll say like if green is greater than red plus blue. Let's grab our tolerance here. Is it called? Yeah, it's called tolerance. Yeah. Okay, so then here. Then we can say that like when the button is clicked, we'll extract our const tolerance value is tolerance.value, and we'll parse this into an integer, parse int, okay, and then we'll say minus tolerance value. So like if the combination of red and blue minus the tolerance value is greater than green, then we should be good to go. So if we click capture here, when it's 10, we see that like it's taking away a little bit more than we want. If it's negative 10, what does that look like? Okay, so that put back in my armpit, but it didn't really like clear around the face there. So what if we go to like negative 100? Okay, that leaves in too much. Negative 50. All right, that takes out too little. Positive 50. That takes out too much. So if we go to 0, that's actually like pretty close to what we want, right? And now like the next step would be we could either like try playing around with the angles and the some other things here, right? Like the white clipping and the angle and the tolerance a bit more. But instead, what I think I'm going to do is just like save this and use this, and then I think this might be good actually. The other thing that we could do is that like when we're taking the screenshots or when we're taking the photos for the thumbnail, oh, also you can just like save, you can say save image, and that'll download it as whatever PNG that you want for your thumbnail. So one thing that we did for our thumbnails is if you recall, and we go back to categories, so categories, have a title color and a subtitle color. We could even add like a background color or something, right? So let's do that, where we can, instead of just setting the transparency to, here, let's instead accept as an argument a color that we want to use as the new background that we're going to replace the background with. So let's do that here. So the type is going to be color, bg color, and it's not going to have a value to start with. And then we'll need to work with that color. So I have never actually worked with color objects before. So this is going to be interesting. This will be fun to figure out. So like if we come back over here, and here's our little color picker thing. Gosh, this is all right, it's hard to see. Okay, so this gives you RGB values. Let's say that we want it to be, let's see. Okay, yeah, so this is too small. All right, so if we wanted our background color to be some bluish or purple color or something, right? Like theoretically, we should be able to click capture here. And when we capture, we should have access to this color object in the terminal. So we have, let's grab a reference to the color input. So color input is going to be bg color. And then down here, we'll just like console.log bg color, or color input. Okay, so then when we click capture, we get the color input thing. Okay, but let's see if we can. Okay, so I'm going to add a breakpoint on line 49, and then I'm going to pick a random color here. So we'll just say something like that. And then when we click capture, so color input dot value, what does that give us? Okay, so it gives us the hex value. All right, so color input dot, can we get some sort of like RGB value or something? Red. No, RGB. Let's see. How to get RGB value from color input. I wonder if we need to like, oh, here we go. Let's see. Color, wait, value.red? No. On change pick red. Wow, okay, so you have to like parse it into a, you have to parse it into hex values. Okay, yeah, we can totally do that. Sure. Wow, I'm surprised that's like how you have to do it, but whatever. All right, so let's say we get the value and dot substring, yep. Substring 0 to 1 and 1 to 3. All right, so we're gonna say like const bg red is this one, green is this one, and blue is this one, and this will be like 4 to 6. And 7 to 9, I think, maybe. Console.log bgr, bgg, bgb. And the idea is that like we should hopefully be able to just like reset the color to whatever we want. Nope. Okay, so actually, let's see. What did we get? What is the value? The value is all zeros. That's not helpful. Let's make it something where the numbers are different. Okay, there we go. Sure. Capture. Capture color input dot value. Okay, so we're looking for 0, 1, 4, 5. Oh, interesting. Oh, 4 to 6. Nope, so we want 5 to 7. Because the next number that we want is 0, 8. So 3 to 5. Okay. So it's not inclusive. That's weird. Okay, so 3, 5, 5, 7. All right, let's see if we can get this. Sorry, I like looked at the Stack Overflow post, but then I didn't actually like pay attention to it. Okay, so then let's say that's our number. And okay, so we've got 2386 D1 and 2386 D1. Okay, so those are like the components, right, of the hex values. Now we need to convert them into integer values because D1 isn't an integer, right? So D1, this is the base 16 value, which represents what that color is. So we can use parse int. So down here we used parse int and we did not pass in a base. That's because the default base here is 10 because it assumes that we're talking about decimal. But in this case, we're talking about hex. So we need to do parse int, and then we need to pass in 16 because we're using base 16 now. Right? So now we should be able to take our RGB values and use those instead of using alpha, right? This is remove the pixels. And this one is going to be like set the pixels as the background pixels. So we need to put, we need to set, we'll set the alpha to 255 so that it's always fully visible. It might, I mean, it should already be that, but whatever. And then this is 1, 2, and then so this is going to be the background R value. This is going to be the background green value and the background blue value. All right, so let's see if this works. I have a feeling it might. I don't know. So we're going to say that's our background color. If we click capture and remove our breakpoint, oh, that's so cool. So if our background is, I don't know, this blue color, capture, so cool, awesome. So this should, like when you're looking at the image here, right? Like before the green didn't seem like it was being taken off, but we were looking at it with a white background. And now for switching the background to a different color, it's much more challenging to tell like whether or not that tolerance is super important or not. And then the other thing is that's interesting is that we can sort of use, we can change what input type I think we want here. So if we know the color that we want, so like let's say, I don't know, dead beef, right? Like let's say that's our color and then we capture and that ends up being our background. So pretty cool. I think I'm happy with this. And we can call it good there. And then, yeah, hopefully this was useful and interesting. Yeah. All right, so that is how you might take a green screen image in JavaScript. As a quick recap, if we look back at our code here, we grabbed reference to a ton of different elements that we threw on the page, one of them being a big button to capture the photo. We then also entered a tolerance number and a color input. And then we had a video control, which was our preview that was just showing us like ourselves. It's kind of like a mirror. Then we had a canvas where we were actually like rendering the frame for the video when we took the picture. And what we did was we said that like, we're going to set up that video input and update that video to be our preview. And then when the button is clicked, when that preview button is clicked, we're going to like figure out what the background color should be based on that color input. And then we go through the process of like grabbing an individual image at that point when we're doing the capture. We iterate over the image, and then depending on if the background is a green screen or not, based on our tolerance and the red and blue values, then we either remove the pixels with alpha by setting the alpha to 0, or we update our image data to have the background colors that we selected. And then finally, we update that context so that it has the image data that we entered. Cool. If you found this video useful, and I hope you did, then please, it would mean a lot to me if you gave it a quick like. Really appreciate you watching and would love to know what kind of content you want to see in the future. Are you liking the Rails stuff? Are you liking the JavaScript stuff? Other languages, ASP.NET or C# or Go or Python or whatever. Yeah, would absolutely love to make some content that's useful to you. So with that said, my DMs are open on Twitter if you want to hit me up at cjavdev. I would love to chat. Yeah, just super curious what folks are building out there and would love to help. Until next time, I'll see you later.